What if I told you, the smartest people in the room are often the quietest, the most misunderstood, and sometimes the most unhappy? High IQ isn't just about solving equations or winning debates. It changes how you see the world, how you think, how you relate to people, and even how you suffer. And here's the twist. The very traits that make someone extremely intelligent can also isolate them from everyone else. Today, we're diving deep into the psychology of people with extremely high IQ, how their minds actually work, and the 10 habits that silently set them apart. What does the extremely high IQ really mean? Let's get one thing straight. High IQ doesn't mean knows everything. It means processes information differently. But numbers don't tell the full story. People with very high IQ tend to have faster pattern recognition, deeper abstraction ability, higher cognitive flexibility. They don't just think faster, they think deeper, wider, and more interconnected. How their mind works. 1. They see patterns everywhere. Where others see chaos, they see structure. A random conversation becomes a psychological model. A failure becomes a system flaw. A behavior becomes a pattern loop. Their brain constantly asks, what's the underlying rule here? 2. They overanalyze everything. Yes, everything. Conversations, decisions, social interactions, even their own thoughts. This leads to deep insight, but also analysis paralysis. 3. They live in abstraction. They're not just thinking about what is happening. They're thinking about why it's happening, what it represents, what it could become. They operate in layers. Reality meaning meta-meaning. 4. They struggle with small talk, because their brain is wired for depth. Talking about weather, gossip, surface-level topics feels draining. They crave ideas, concepts, meaningful conversations. 5. They often feel misunderstood, not because they're better, but because their reference point is different. It's like speaking in 4D in a 2D world. The dark side of high IQ. Here's where things get uncomfortable. 1. Overthinking leads to anxiety. More intelligence equals more possible outcomes. More outcomes equals more uncertainty. Result: chronic mental noise. 2. Existential awareness. They question meaning of life, purpose, mortality, much earlier and much deeper. 3. Social isolation. They may feel disconnected, avoid shallow interactions, struggle to fit in. 4. Perfectionism. They can see the ideal version of everything, which makes reality feel insufficient. 5. Emotional intensity. Contrary to stereotypes, many high IQ individuals feel things deeply, but they analyze emotions instead of expressing them. 10 habits of people with extremely high IQ. Now let's break down the real behavioral patterns. Habit 1. They spend time alone. Not because they're antisocial, but because solitude fuels thinking. Habit 2. They consume information obsessively. Books, videos, discussions. They're constantly feeding their mind. Habit 3. They question everything. Authority doesn't impress them. Logic does. Habit 4. They love complex problems. Simple tasks bore them. They thrive in ambiguity, complexity, challenge. Habit 5. They change their mind often. Not inconsistency. Intellectual honesty. They update beliefs based on new data. Habit 6. They don't speak unless necessary, because they think before speaking. Filter unnecessary noise. Habit 7. They run mental simulations. Before making decisions, they play out multiple scenarios in their head. Habit 8. They doubt themselves more. Known as the smarter you are, the more you realize what you don't know. Habit 9. They think in systems. They don't see isolated events. They see cause, effect, and feedback loops. Habit 10. They obsess over meaning. They don't just want success. They want purpose, understanding, impact. Here's the truth most people ignore. IQ not equal to success. Because success depends on discipline, emotional intelligence, execution, consistency. A person with average IQ plus high discipline will often outperform a genius with no direction. So what should you take away from this? Being highly intelligent is not a superpower. It's a tool that can build incredible things, or trap you inside your own mind. The real advantage isn't just thinking deeply, it's knowing when to stop thinking and start acting. Because in the end, It's not the smartest mind that wins. It's the one that knows how to use itself. What high IQ people do differently in real life. Here's where it gets interesting. Most people think intelligence shows up in exams, debates, or knowledge. But in real life, it shows up in decisions. People with extremely high IQ don't just think better, they decide differently. They ask, what's the long-term consequence of this? What am I missing? What's the second-order effect? While others react, they simulate. Average thinking is, if I do this, what happens next? High IQ thinking is, if I do this, what happens after that, and after that? Example, a normal person sees a good opportunity. A high IQ person sees hidden risks, opportunity cost, long-term trade-offs. They don't chase what looks good. They evaluate what holds up over time. To them, life isn't random. It's a system. Inputs to outputs, actions to consequences, habits to identity. They constantly optimize time, energy, attention. And here's the difference. They don't try to do more. They try to do what matters most. But this is where many fail. Because high intelligence creates a dangerous illusion. I'll figure it out later. So they delay action, wait for perfect clarity, overplan instead of executing. And slowly, potential turns into stagnation. How to think like high IQ. Here's the part that actually matters. You don't need a 140 IQ to think better. You need to adopt these mental models. 1. Think in consequences, not actions. Don't ask what should I do. Ask where does this lead. 2. Reduce noise. Most people consume too much useless information. High IQ minds filter aggressively. 3. Focus on leverage. One smart decision is greater than 100 random actions. 4. Learn to sit with discomfort. Deep thinking feels uncomfortable. That's why most people avoid it. So here's the truth. High IQ isn't about being smarter than others. It's about seeing what others don't, thinking what others won't, and acting when others hesitate. Because in the end, the real advantage isn't intelligence. It's clarity plus action. And once you start thinking this way, you'll realize something strange. You were never limited by intelligence, only by how you were using it. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe the channel. Until then.